graduate from the great institution that we're in today, years ago, with an engineering degree. Years ago, I opted for the entrepreneurial life. And with those two combinations, you find very rapidly that you're solutions oriented. It becomes immediately apparent that you want to solve the problems. The problem we have today, besides the political problem that we're dealing with, is the congestion on the Interstate 5 corridor. What we're proposing is to, I guess you always hear that word, one word is, are you going to pay your bill? Are you going to pay your bill? Are you going to pay your bill? In this case, it's capacity, capacity, capacity. And when out in the hallway, we have the alignment, which is proposed from Lethbridge Park to the Interstate 405 couplet. It's about 7.8 miles. It bypasses the Oregon Slough problem, passes the Minnesota freeway problem. And so when you get into a situation like that, probably not one of us are ever going to solve the Oregon situation. Except by increasing capacity, then you start downloading. The tunnel itself can be built relatively rapidly because it's all going to be built in existing right-of-way. So there's very little right-of-way acquisition that has to occur, so that cost is not a bear. Bill has told you that with the Seattle experience, they expect it to be about $1 billion a mile. Well, you can do a fast math at 7.8, that's 7.8 billion. However, we have Rafael Lopez from Dragados, who is the builder of that facility. And I think if he would share you the political ramifications of having to build somebody else's design, you can see what starts happening. Cost. Let's talk about the money. Let's talk about the money. Worldwide, the nations, including the United States, preferably in some of our states, however not in the states of Washington and Oregon to any degree, they use a private-public partnership where the companies design, build, own, operate, and maintain the facility. Easy translation means the facility is tolled. All right, that's the easy translation for you. But the taxpayers are going to pay for it one way or another. So you're going to pay for it in taxes. The Oregon bill, which he talked about, when I met with him, it was at $5 billion, and he is absolutely correct. It's at $8.4 billion now. There's nothing allocated for the North freeway system at all. It's going to be a series of 8 taxes. 8 taxes, so their plans are to revenue bond it, which means that somewhere along the line somebody has to pay the freight. In a design-build operation, the public sector basically lays out the program of, yes, this is what we want to do. Then the private sector comes in and offers the solution, brings the financing, does the design, build, own, operate, and maintain. Let me see if I can route this thing through to you so that you can see the route. All right. There's your routing system right there. Starts at Lethbridge Park in the north. And it's a tunnel complete that comes down, bypasses, comes in. Here is the interchange where the Columbia Boulevard, which is the industrial area and part of Terminal 6, would enter, because it is a limited access system. It's designed to handle capacity. And will terminate at the 405 Interstate 5 couplet. Now there's the Rose Garden couplet right there. And if you actually have the opportunity to be driving north, you'll see that the off-ramps for the facility are already built. I don't think that was their intention. They just happened to be there. So there's what you have. High speed, it's 2 lanes each way, will be a great system to move traffic. There's your tunnel walls. These are also right out in the hallway for you to look at. There's the tunnel design, comes in. These have been built all over the world. Envision, if you've ever been through the channel between London and France, that's about 27 miles underneath the English Channel. They've just finished 37 miles under the Alps with the dual railroad. So all the technology is readily available. The secret to this system is getting somebody to pay for it, as you well know. Let's do a little tunnel comparison work here. Here we are. Linda's told us that she thinks she can be done in 3 to 5 years. And maybe when you have a bridge in the water and you have to replace it and they do not do the environmental context or the right-of-way acquisitions, that may be true. This is the state of Washington. We are mega politically correct. And so, as you well see, here is what's at the table right now. Okay? There's your time frame for completion. That basically, inside the city of Vancouver, shuts down Main Street. Probably Broadway and C Street cease to exist when that goes on. Here's your West Side Express. That's Bill's, that's the West Side, this is actually the bypass. That's the one that Oregon and Hillsborough want. You can see that somewhere along the line, and I think it was brought up, there's your 35 years, that's a comment. There's your I-5 flyover time frame. The one that hasn't been presented yet is the Cascade Commuter, which involves high-speed rail. Here's your East County Bridge, which is one of the shorter time frames. And let's hope that Linda is correct, that can be done in a year, and that can be done in a year, because the construction time almost matches up. But welcome to Washington. Here's your Columbia Interstate Tunnel Project, leveraged to 405. 7.8 miles. This is all done inside of existing owned federal right-of-way. Very little right-of-way acquisition is necessary. But it also includes, contrary to my associate's thing, to retrofit the Interstate 5 bridge. We've read the same reports you have going back and forth. Whether the old bridge can be seismically retrofitted is a question. They know the other one can. So maybe it's an intermodal operation. But when you involve government philosophy, meaning we have to kill a species to save a species, you don't gain capacity by building a bridge and tearing out a bridge. And capacity is the name of the game. Should we be doing this? If we're going to continue to grow and take care of our children and be economically viable, yes. Should we be doing this in some format? Same reasoning, and the answer is yes. But they're out in the future. They're way out there. This can be done moderately quickly. And in talking to Mr. Alfanios here, Raphael, he says that the construction, the 3 to 5 years, is probably the long part of the time frame, not the short part of the time frame. So that may tighten up. But both these, here you go. So if you want to solve the capacity problem and get out of the commute nightmare, there's your viable option. And here's a little aside that was brought up by my associate, Mike Paletto, is that when you capture air, like you're going to do in this tunnel, in your ventilation, you have the opportunity to filter and treat it. Not so in any of the options, and in metropolitan areas where automobile exhaust seems to be really out of favor, and our favor is that we want the convenience and use of automobiles. So there is a kind of a plus there. So I'll get this next one up for you. There's your comparison of benefits. There's what's on the table today. They have already said that when they're going to build a bridge, to tear out a bridge, there certainly will be certain safety factors and convenience factors will be added. There'll be no increase in capacity, no increase in commute time, and no improvement of freight mobility. They say somewhere between 2.8 and 3.4 billion. There's your west side, probably low. There's your flyover. There's one that is really kind of an unknown because of the light rail component. There's your east side bridge. You've heard from Linda that she thinks it's going to be an $800 million project. And let's hope to God it is. And here's your tunnel. Including the retrofit of the bridge, there's $500 million allocated for the retrofits of the bridge. There's $500 million allocated for each entrance on the Portland, Oregon side and on the Washington side. Again, council, our engineering council says those are way too high, but they're in there anyway. The estimate is, and this is kind of a shot in the dark based upon the engineering techniques, but something you can probably take home, is that it's about $60,000 per linear foot. That's where that math breaks out. That's the cost of the machine, the actual construction to the finish. So if we want to solve the problem as we move forward with future planning, it's fairly obvious to me that we only have one logical route that we should be pursuing. And just think about it, is that anything we do in the bridge concept is going to tear up our traffic patterns. The tunnel does not tear up your traffic patterns, it's all underground. There'll be some disruption at both your entrances at the early part of the construction, then it goes away. Think about downtown Vancouver not having to deal with a 10-year construction project that shuts down the central core of the city. This has been a very difficult process for us because the states of Washington, as Representative Pike can tell you, and the states of Oregon have no viable private-public partnership mechanisms. Washington Department of Transportation and the Oregon Department of Transportation are archaic. They stay within their formulas, they stay within their formats. We have Democrat governors in both states, so it's going to be very, very difficult to accomplish that. But as everybody said to you, it's up to you folks to do it. Thank you.